going to be able to incarcerate him. You're not going to be able to fine him. Sir, it's over. It's over. Democrats, it's over. Now let's move on to some politics and social media where some of you, no surprises, you're just continuing to piss me off. Why? Because every time I make a comment that's critical of the Democratic Party or the left, I get accused of being a pundit for the right. Prior to the election cycle, I voiced my concerns about Joe Biden and his ability to serve as second term as president. Then Biden stepped on the debate stage in late June and revealed what many suspected. He embarrassed himself. The White House and the Democrats eventually switched to Vice President Kamala Harris when he stepped away, who ultimately ran what some would say a valiant presidential campaign, at least in the eyes of some, that ultimately fell short with voters across the country. I pointed out my concerns with the campaign and the Democratic Party along the way, and many of you wanted to accuse me of being a voice for the right. So,
good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tony Dub Show. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe our material. Now, we're going to dive into this today, guys, because what we have right now is Mr. Stephen A. admitting the truth once again. You know what? This guy is trying to ride the fence. He's trying to play the proverbial ends against the middle. He tries to sound, and he does sound very convincing, and he sounds very authoritative. But as usual, with a lot of men, they're talking loud and saying nothing. Now, he's going to confuse you all because you're going to still say, is the guy a Democrat or is he a Republican? Is he changing over to Republican? Is he a conservative? Is he a liberal? Let's dive in and find out even further. Let's listen to Mr. Stephen A. himself.
So you know what? I feel like it's time to set the record straight because ain't nobody hiding. Ain't nobody running. Okay? Let me be very, very clear. I'm a registered independent because I don't trust either side. I think both sides are full of it on so many levels and so many circumstances, it's nauseating. But I also want to take a moment because a lot of people out there on social media have been saying to me, here, Stephen A., you take these positions, you're frustrated with the Democratic Party, but then you voted for Kamala Harris against Trump. Why? It's very, very simple. I believe that Donald Trump has been a divisive figure. And I was thinking coming into this election.
Hold up. Mr. Trump has been a divisive figure? Now, he's going to say that about Mr. Trump. Just as usual, the Democrats never, ever see the hypocrisy and the bull sugar honey iced tea on their side. Mr. Trump is divisive? You mean the divisiveness that the Democrats cause by trying to throw this man into prison and wasting taxpayers' dollars in so doing in the process? That's not justice. They were not out for justice. They were trying to keep this man down in order to try to beat him or keep him out of the election process because they knew it would be very tough to beat this man. So they tried to take him out. So Mr. Trump is divisive? Let's continue to listen, guys, because he's going to further incriminate himself.
That the last thing we needed was 4 more years of what we saw the last time, where there was so much strife and so much division that even though
what we saw the last time, guys, was the Black Lives Matters party or movement out in the streets causing chaos. There was no Trump people out there breaking down buildings and destroying things and burning down police stations and overturning police cars. Black Lives Matters during their riots burned down one black lady's hair and beauty salon. We talked about that in one of my other videos. So was this due to Mr. Trump's doing? Or Black Lives Matters? See, part of that process was to make it look like that during the Trump administration, there was so much chaos in the street and everything was so bad and it looks like civil war. That was part of a ploy to make things look bad for that president so that you all would try to stray away from voting for him. This is all planned out, guys. The Democrats are extremely sinister and they're devilish and they're evil and they're corrupt. But stay tuned. Mr. Stephen A. is going to explain further for you all.
The economy clearly was doing well under his watch before COVID struck. It was just too much for the country to take. I was fearful of civil war in this country. It wasn't so much that he was supportive of white supremacists and he was this racist and all of this stuff like people were saying. I didn't engage in that incendiary rhetoric because I've always believed that Donald Trump was just somebody who did things that were politically expedient. If supporting one side was going to generate votes for him, he would flow with it. And if it was not.
Okay, so Mr. Trump was doing things that were politically expedient. But once again, as I say, guys do not see the hypocrisy bullcrap on the Democrat side. Politically expedient? You mean like talking about putting collard greens in the bathtub? Or you mean like Miss Hillary Clinton taking around hot sauce in her pocketbook? Guys, these are things that are politically expedient because you're pandering. And the Democrats do a very good job of that. But everything a politician does is for political expediency. Don't take this the wrong way. The Democrats are full of hypocrisy. Just continue to listen and weigh down everything that I say against what Mr. Stephen A. says.
Not going to support his cause, he wasn't. It's just simple. It's just that simple. Why did I say that? And why did I refrain from that incendiary rhetoric that was thrown in his direction? It was because I knew Donald Trump before he ran for president. And black, whites, male, females, and everybody in between got along with him great. So for all of a sudden, everybody to stand up and act like he was this pariah was BS. But I was also acknowledging he didn't help his own cause. From the moment in 2015 when he strolled down those escalators with Melania, the man offended 50% of the population back then in 2015. Came across as xenophobic in the eyes of many. And it just seemed to go downhill from there. So after he served his 4 years in the White House, I didn't want to repeat all of that. But I didn't call him a racist. I didn't compare him to Nazis. I didn't sit up there and accuse him of befriending white supremacists and all of that stuff because I knew no matter what people believed, they were trying to politicize it. So when I thought about him against Kamala Harris, I said, excuse me, let me make sure Republicans are in the House and the Senate. You have somebody that's going to work with both sides in the White House and we'll have peace domestically. That's what I was thinking. But under no circumstances was I this raving supporter of Kamala Harris. I saw her during the primaries in 2020. I saw that she couldn't get to Iowa. I saw her comments about transgenders.
You know, did the rest of you guys see that? Do you all remember that? Do you all remember that this woman tried to run for president the first time back in 2018? She couldn't even make it to the first state. She didn't get any money from you all, nor did you vote for her. She was the first one to drop out. That should have been a sign to you then that this lady is not somebody who's cut out to be a strong leader. That's something we desperately need in our country. Let's continue.
Particularly those in prison that wanted sex changes. I saw how incoherent she appeared in communicating what her objective would be when it came to the economy. I know for a fact that she was supposed to oversee the issues involving the border. Yes.
Yet you still voted for her. You saw how incoherent she could be, and you saw that she was supposed to be in control of the border, and you're still trying to weigh the difference on whether you should vote for Mr. Trump versus her? Dude, are you serious right now?
Like Roland Martin said, she wasn't the quote-unquote border czar, but she was perceived as such. I also saw her go on The View and categorically deny that there was any need to change anything that Biden had done, even though over 12 million people crossed the border illegally, and you were acting like there was no border crisis. I saw the duplicitous tendencies. I saw the inconsistencies. I also saw the hypocrisy.
Wow, didn't I just say that? Hypocrisy. He uses it too. I'm not alone out here, are we, guys?
And as the election came about and ultimately unfolded, and I saw Donald Trump win convincingly. No, he did not get 50% of the popular vote, as the Democrats are so quick to point out. My attitude to them is shut the hell up. Nobody wants to hear that now. Who cares whether he got 50% of the vote or not? He beat you in the popular vote and the electoral college vote.
You know what? I told a friend of mine whom we like to debate politics a lot. After the election and Mr. Trump won, I said, my friend, look, it's time for the Democrats to sit down and shut up. It really is, because we're listening to them going on almost 2 months after the election now, and they're still running around saying January 6th, still talking about Mr. Trump is a convicted felon. And all of you all know that those trumped up charges, pun intended, was a lot of bull, sugar, honey, iced tea. Have you all ever figured out why it has not worked? Come on. It's time to let this stuff go. They need a new attack line for the next oncoming years. What they should be doing is concentrating on policies, things that will work for the average man and woman, for the ones of us who are out here busting our butts every day, still trying to make a decent living. Instead of worrying about these pie in the sky ideas, nobody gives a flying flip about climate change when they're in there trying to pay $8 or $9 for a pound of hamburger and $7 for eggs and $5 or $6 for a gallon of gas. They still don't get it. They're worrying about what Trump did something 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. It's a losing case. Mr. Stephen A., somebody smarter than I am, is trying to tell you so.
He swept the swing states. He improved his numbers in every demographic imaginable. Blacks, Hispanics, women. He beat you. And the American people spoke, and they spoke flagrantly. And from that moment forward, I'm like, damn all of that. We gonna support the fact that he won the presidency. And I'm gonna tell you where I'm at with it. And that doesn't mean I'm gonna become some registered Republican, because I still find them a bit shaky. But when I see Attorney Bragg in New York trying to convince the judge and the courts to treat Donald Trump as if he's deceased, as if he has died, just to make sure that your convictions on those 34 felony accounts remains a part of the record, it just shows another level of patheticness.
It does show another level of patheticness. These guys are wasting your money. New Yorkers, they're wasting your money trying to bring Trump down. These cases are falling apart. God has had his hand on this man, Mr. Trump. This is clearly seen. This is some bull crap, and y'all are wasting time. You better tell your party to focus on bringing you some policies that's going to help you in your everyday life and improve the quality of your life and the benefits and the welfare of the children that you have and everyone else that comes after you. It's not going to work messing with Trump. You're not going to bring this man down. And if it does go to court, it's going to be overturned by the New York Supreme Court. And if it's not overturned by the New York Supreme Court, it's going to be overturned by the Supreme Court. It's still a waste of time, and it costs millions of dollars. What you're going to do is wind up getting reversed sued by Mr. Trump, because he is known for doing that, and he usually wins. Case in point, didn't he just win $15 million from ABC and made Mr. Stephanopoulos, Mr. George Stephanopoulos, have to pay $1 million out of his personal money? This is a losing battle, Democrats. You better listen to this guy. For once, Mr. Stephen A. is making a little bit of sense.
If that is such a word that creeps in, once again, you can't let it go. He is the president-elect of the United States of America. In January 20th, he is going to be the president of the United States. And you want to sit up here and waste taxpayer dollars and literally go before the courts to do everything you can to make his conviction a matter of record, knowing he ain't gonna get any jail time. You're not gonna be able to incarcerate him. You're not gonna be able to fine him. Sir, it's over. It's over. Democrats, it's over. It's over. I'm gonna say this before and I'll say it again. You know what I would do if I were Joe Biden, President Joe Biden? Especially since I basically gave the Democratic Party the finger because you kept saying, we follow the rule of law, we follow the rule of law, we follow the rule of law. And then you went and you circumvented all of that to get to pardon your son Hunter. Since you were willing to do that.
Isn't that a freaking trip, guys? The Democrats want to follow the rule of law and bragging that no one is above the law. They kept reiterating their point, their talking point, that no one is above the law. Now, see, they were strong on that point when they thought they were going to get Mr. Trump. They were letting you know, even though he's a president, he is not above the law. So no one is above the law except for Biden's own son. The Democrats are a trip. The party is a joke. It's a mess right now. Who's even leading your party? Who's your president right now? Because it's not Biden. You kicked him out because he was incoherent. He was non-cognitive. He was delusional. He was going down mentally and physically. And you know, bumbling, stumbling, cackling hen that Kamala Harris is, she's not in charge. Who's running your party right now, Democrats? Is it Obama? Because for God's sakes, guys, he is irrelevant at this point. We don't want to hear anything else from him either. Don't bring Oprah back, nor Obama. Don't bring any of these people back. Find some good candidates. Come up with some good policies. Let's continue with Mr. Stephen A. putting the word down for you today.
If I was President Joe Biden, I would pardon Donald Trump. I'm going to say it again. I would pardon Donald Trump for one reason and one reason only: to move the hell on. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. You tried to get him if you Nancy Pelosi. You tried to get him if you Chuck Schumer. You tried to get him if you were the Dems in the Senate and the House. You tried to get him if you were the FBI. You tried to get him if you were the Department of Justice. You tried to get him. I mean, damn. Russian collusion. What happened? See, we keep talking and talking and talking. And all we see at the end of the day is that you inconvenience Donald Trump and you caused him headaches. Probably forced him to take a few doses of Motrin or Tylenol. That's all you did. You ain't doing anything else to him. He is back in the White House next month. All that shit y'all did, all the stuff you pulled, you had your surrogates out there, your pundits out there, you engaged in lawfare, you did everything. And you convinced the American people, yo.
And with that being said, this guy is going to be the next president, or rather is the president of the United States. And with all of that they did, they still lost. It is over. Like Mr. Stephen A. says, guys. Jesus Christ, I don't know what it's going to take with all of that they did, all of that waste of time on everything. Let's continue.
His ass belongs in jail. And where he going instead? Back to the White House. So, of course, when you see that preponderance of evidence that ultimately hits us, with the reality is that no matter how hard you try, whatever mechanisms you put in place, whatever, tactics you utilized, it all amounted to nothing. Joe Biden, they caught him sleeping at an African conference in Angola. Donald Trump wide awake, going back to the White House. Peggy Noonan, an outstanding columnist for the Wall Street Journal, wrote about the unprecedents that exist with a president-elect who's usually chilling. They're normally only making news when there are headlines announcing their cabinet members. Yet, Donald Trump is walking around like he's president now.
That's an excellent point. Mr. Trump is walking around and acting as if he is the president now. You know why? Because, like I just said, where are the leaders of the Democrat Party? They are missing in action. And now, I remember when Mr. Biden said, we're going to bring back dignity and respect to the White House, to the office of the president. Wow. These guys sure have jumped ship from China to India to Russia to the UK. Everyone, the Japanese billionaire just pledged $100 million, $100 million and 100,000 jobs to President Trump for his administration to create some jobs in the high-tech industry. Does that sound like a leader who does not have the respect of the world on his side? Russia and Ukraine are talking about having peace. Israel and Hamas and Palestine are talking about having peace. None of these things have happened under Joe Biden. Does that sound like someone who has brought dignity and respect back to the White House, even though he technically is not even in there yet? You guys have to look at things for the way that you see them and not for the way that you want it to be. You've got to become a little more realistic about things.
In France recently, for the reopening, the Notre Dame Cathedral, talking to Zelensky for Ukraine, no doubt Putin for Russia, talking to Benjamin Netanyahu with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Look at what is happening. Every time there is substantive stuff to talk about in the world of politics, Donald Trump's name is the headline instead of President Joe Biden. Y'all lost. The Democrats, you lost. You got your ass kicked in every way imaginable. And why am I saying it like that? It's not because of the election. It's because of what's still happening. Every single other day, this man is making headlines about political issues that are supposed to be dominated by President Biden and the White House. It's not happening. It's him.
It is him. Mr. Trump is getting mad props on everything he's doing right now, even down to his cabinet picks. He's picking people who are substantive, and they're going to bring forth a new generation of helping America be great again or get back on its feet economically. So this is what we want to look at, everybody. Let's just take the time to hold up and relax and just take a look at what the man is going to do. Let's give him 2 years and see what he does. Democrats, it's time for you all to sit down and shut up, because the things that you ran on and the things that you are continuing to say at this point are completely irrelevant. Just about like your hero, Barack Obama. And yet and still, Stephen A. is talking about all of these things that are very positive for Mr. Trump and very negative about the Democrat Party, yet he still is inclined to vote Democrat, he's not listening to his own logic. This is why you all don't make sense to us. You don't even follow your own logic. Everything with you all is emotional. It's always your emotions or something that you feel. Everything is about racism or somebody's sex. This man brought some policies, some real policies that people can put their mind around and grab onto. This is why he's winning in the United States and America and all over the world. Let's continue.
If that ain't definitive evidence that you have lost, and it is time to lick your wounds, look in the mirror, and revisit all of those tactics you tried to exercise, clearly in an effort to keep him out of the White House, it's now. Maybe you shouldn't have adopted woke culture, embraced woke culture and woke ideology the way that you should. To the LGBTQ community, anybody with decency should support you and your right to live your life. But I didn't hear the right talking about the LGBT community in general and painting everybody with a broad brush. I heard them addressing transgender issues in terms of somebody electing to change their gender, participating, men transitioning into women, but competing with women. Now, we can get into the nuances and to particulars about it, and the Democrats can sit up there and say that the Republicans are misrepresenting their positions and vice versa, what have you. Here's the bottom line. They were successful in disseminating whatever they wanted their message to be to the masses better than you were. You lost. And you're still walking around here, evidenced by the latest from Attorney Bragg in New York State, evidenced by him trying to keep the conviction alive. What is that going to resolve? Donald Trump, felony convictions. It's a matter of record. Wow! I mean, you're really accomplishing great things there, huh? He ain't going to prison. He's not even forced to keep on an ankle bracelet and be confined to his home, which is a resort, by the way, Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Oh no, he's going back to the White House. And he travels back to Mar-a-Lago at his discretion, whenever he damn well pleases. You lost. Let it go. When we want to talk about whether or not I want to be a Republican or whatever, listen, there are conservative issues that I adamantly support. I support lower taxes. I support free market capitalism. I support controlling our borders. Absolutely. And I'm a big dude on national security. I ain't apologizing for that to anybody. On those issues, I'm conservative. What am I liberal on? Live and let live. Social issues. Heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, gay, lesbian, whatever. It's your life.
We couldn't care less about your personal life. We don't care what gender you are. Go ahead and be one of the 178 or whatever genders that you all think are out there. We do not care whether you're a man or a woman or someone changing to be one or one going into the other one. We do not and will not bow down to that pronoun crap nonsense that you all want to go by. Tell us your name and we'll call you by your name. But we're not going to be worried about trying to figure out what the heck you are so that we don't offend you. Tell us your name and we'll go by that. That'll end and solve that story. And when you get home or whatever you want to be or call yourself out in public, go ahead and do something. We don't care. As Christians, we love you all. We love everyone and we care for everyone. But you all can be whatever you want to be. If you're a man changing over to a woman, which is impossible, but go ahead and do the thing. But what you're not going to do is subject us to it, and you're not going to subject our children to it. You're not going to change our children's sex by giving them gender affirming drugs and all of that crap and mess. You're not going to have a big old boy or a big old man beat down our young girls and our women athletes because they are physically stronger than the girls and the women. Why don't you all start your own transgendered league in every sport that you're interested in? Well, you might say, well, it's not enough of us. That should tell you already that you're fighting a losing battle and that your cause is one that is full of bull, sugar, honey, iced tea. The fact that there's not many of you and not enough of you to start your own professional or amateur sports league. Let it go. You're not a man. You're not a woman. You're whatever God made you at birth. But that's a different story. Yet, Mr. Stephen A. believes in these things that I just expounded, but still finds the need to vote Democrat, even though everything that he said in this video is that there's more negatives on the Democrat side than on the Republican side. If you did that little T and cross thing and put positives here and negatives here, the Democrats would have a lot of negatives on their side, a lot. And the Republicans would have just a few. According to what Mr. Smith just said, I'm not making it up. You guys are listening to him yourselves. Yet, you all with your emotional state never want to listen to your own logic, as Mr. Stephen A. Smith has displayed here so eloquently as only he can do. And so emotionally. Let's finish this thing up, everyone.
And disenfranchised. You're a minority community in this country, you need help, I'm down for it. You're poor and impoverished, we're only as strong as our weakest link. The elderly, we should always revere and honor.
Yeah, these are the things that make you want to vote Democrat. I don't recall any Republican getting rid of our welfare programs. Are not going to cut Social Security. Guys, stop letting the Democrats make y'all feel that way. It's not going to happen. It will never happen. What they may cut is wasted money and wasted spending. You don't need 10 people doing the job that 2 people could do. You don't need to be sending money to illegal immigrants and giving them money and all kinds of goodies when they come over here, but you're not taking care of your homeless people and your own American vets. So this is the difference. I don't see the Democrats doing that. Whenever I see videos and information right now about how the veterans are doing financially and economically, they are in tragedy and in free fall. But the Democrats have been in charge for the last 4 years. Now he wants to talk about helping somebody that's down and out. I guess the Republicans can't or don't or have never done that. Or did the Republicans vote for the Civil Rights Bill of 64? Did the Republicans vote along with the welfare programs and bring them into existence? There are more poor Republicans than there are Democrats. Y'all call them, not my word, but y'all call them trailer trash. These people are very poor. So if the Republicans got rid of our welfare programs, they would piss off a whole lot of their constituents, their own voters. Guys, this does not make sense. Get out of your emotions and pay attention to what's really going on. This guy's telling you the truth, even though he's not making sense sometimes with some of these things he's saying.
And look out for them, because they contributed to our society long before we got older, and it was our turn to do so. On that note, it is what it is. That's why I'm an independent. I flow with either side. But what I don't like about the Democratic Party at this particular moment in time, you keep walking around on your moral high horse, acting like you're above reproach. You're President Biden, he's my son. That's all you had to say. I can't let my son go to jail. I'm sorry, America. Simple. But instead, you try to get on your high horse and act like they were after him because of you. And try to make it into something political. Stop. This is what the Democrats repeatedly do.
In closing, guys, help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Please click on that subscribe button that's right down below. Help us move out and get some more information out to people, because you all need to hear stuff like this. This guy is very popular and very well known. And he's telling you the same things that we've been telling you about the Democrats. So let's get out of our feelings and listen to some of this stuff that this well-known gentleman is saying. He's been very critical of the Democrats at this time. You're listening to the Tony Dove Show, and I'm Tony Dove. I'm also Professor D. So you all hang tight with us. But wait a minute. Let's listen to Mr. Stephen A's finishing touch on this.
I looked at Obama, former President Barack Obama, my president, who I admire and revere, and watched him talk to black men like that and accuse of misogynistic tendencies because we
not your hero
not be supporting Kamala Harris. How come it could be her policies?
Not your hero.
He supported Hillary Rodham Clinton. Sick of it. Sick of the Democrats walking around like they have such a higher moral compass.
We all are sick of it, Steve.
A higher moral foundation than everybody else. No, enough of that demagoguery. Enough of that fear-mongering. No, your behinds need to go out there and learn to politic better to win.
With no further ado, y'all, you've been watching the Tony Dove Show. And as I said before, please like and share and subscribe to our show, and help us reach 1,000 subscribers, maybe even 2,000. Please don't forget to click that subscribe button, guys. We're going to start to bring you more content that's relevant and up to the minute news. Stay tuned. And as I always say, God bless you and have a great, wonderful life.